So this is true for most guys who are trying to make money off software, and I think I share a lot of John's perspective on this. Is that blockchain is not about a software business. I think it's about ecosystem and economies and communities that drive those elements. And so any entity that's trying to make money off software, I think it's just a mismatch between how oftentimes we look at market fit products. So there's a wrong market fit to make money off software. Yes, there is an avenue with infrastructure, which is what you see companies like Infura and many of the Bitfury-like entities who are providing specialized hardware, specialized cloud, specialized sort of chipset for mining functions or staking functions. So to me, I think enterprise, as I've always said this, and I've said this in 2016, 2017, a convergence, right? So what we see with DeFi now, that after the fourth interpretive letter from OCC, we begin to see that the traditional finance, the PayPal, the Visa, MasterCard, and the Bank of New York Mellons of the world, are looking at this to say, can we, one, not only exploit the up-and-coming market, which today, John, if I'm not mistaken, 1.2 trillion that it captures, collective sort of valuation of it, but also looking into saying there's a lot of inefficiencies in capital markets. There's a lot of inefficiencies in moving money and moving, assets, which is what we call as dematerialized asset today. And capital formation. I mean, IPO is an expensive process, and for someone who has a great idea, I could simply go to a community and raise funds, which is where the notion of community, notion of democratization comes into play, which you significantly lower the barriers of entry. So the question then becomes, from an enterprise perspective, and when I mean enterprise, I mean the financial establishment that is running itself as an enterprise with this massive investment into IT and technology, is what is their role? If they're an intermediary, then they're definitely disrupted. Can they now change and morph the business model and become a part of that ecosystem? Or do they participate in the part of the ecosystem to understand it, combat it, fight it, or take advantage of it? And that is something which market and economics systems define and decide. But to me, DeFi, any of the projects, right? Any of the cool and growing projects, whether it's, and I do talk about the notion of crypto liquidity, that all the NFT market that you talk about, there's no real cash. It's basically going through ethers and truly liquid crypto assets that are being traded. And that eventually has a fungibility to a USD or fiat equivalent valuation mechanism. But think of most of these projects, truly global projects, same concept, same asset class, same rules of engagement, except a different endpoint. So, which means that I could participate in this ecosystem. So can a guy from Vietnam, so can a farmer from Uganda. And I think now the ecosystem is evolving to say, can we simplify, which is what entities like Curve and many of them are doing, is simplifying the access points, simplifying the identity and wallet structures, which is still very technical for many technical people as well. And I think that is something which once we solve that problem, you'll begin to see this further explode. Because now you're suddenly creating a marketplace for 7+ billion people in the world, which today is confined to a country and its economic might and access to those systems, which is where I think it's all heading. So to me, enterprise is about the convergence of the systems, the decentralized systems that are emerging, to the entities who are jumping in and exploiting that, just like internet is, which is a distributed system, to use that as an infrastructure and take advantage of it, I think. So I'll pause at that.
So you don't think that IBMs and Deloitte's of the world and all of these people that were building all these hyperledger solutions, I mean, not to say IBM, sorry, but like other companies in the space, that they actually have a shot at sort of, doing what they always did with tech, being sort of the front end of deploying the next wave of tech?
So if we are expecting blockchain, which is what I firmly believe in, is truly disruptive technology that changes the way we live and changes the way we do things, just like what internet has done, to the way we consume information, consume media, entertainment, you cannot win unless you have a new business model to adapt to what these infrastructures enable. You can only do so much consulting, you can only sell so much hardware. And if that's the business model you want to go. So I think the companies, the large tech companies, that includes the entities who are providing cloud services, the entities who are providing, expecting to just host a node and make money of it is that business model has to change. Same thing with entities like the consulting entities like Deloitte and Accenture, like entities, including GBS, which is an IBM consulting entities. They have to understand that who are they consulting, who are their real clients, and they can still sort of leverage some entities because the large corporations or large enterprises who are trying to get into this space still have the same model of let's have the risk model, let's create a reporting structure, let's understand the risks, and there's still some money to be made. But to me, if anybody's trying to still make money of the similar or trying to create a business from the similar structures, then I would say that it's short-lived in many sense, because the technology is enabling a much larger problem set as opposed to just consulting or hosting nodes and so on and so forth, I think.
And so if, let's say, the business has always been, you guys have not implemented XYZ technology platform, we'll come in, we'll help you build it, we'll help you make it more secure, et cetera. Now it's more, what you're saying is you have to really look at the business model and the economy behind this proposal and not just tech.
Absolutely, and I'll give you an example. In the fourth interpretive letter from OCC, they use the term INVN, which is independent verification of nodes, which is nothing but blockchain and having a node structure. And the idea there is that a bank should be able to host an INVN and participate in the blockchain network and sort of plug itself into the economic system of it. Now you have two choices. You could rely upon an API access to that INVN, which may be somewhere in the cloud, and you still could move along with the business that could be provided by an entity who understands the business models and the infrastructure. Or they could hire a cloud company which can host the nodes for them. But again, in the bigger scheme of things, to what John was describing, I'm looking at $1 trillion market. And at that point, what is the avenues of monetization from hosting a node? And so I can choose what business I want to be in, and that makes a huge difference in terms of how you plan to monetize. So this whole protocol monetization work that I did, you're like tier one, which used to be back in the day of paying for email, which we don't pay for emails anymore. As you know, we have economic systems that pay for it, and somehow one way or the other, you're having access to it, if that makes sense.